There was Atari. Then there was Nintendo.
Now, the next generation video games. Turbografx 16 and Turbografx CD. 2,000 times more memory. Basic system $99.99. Turbografx 16. The next generation now.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ultimate Turbografx CD review here on Player One Start. Today is the day we're finally going to finish up all of the games that are natively compatible with the Turbografx CD and its original system card. There's not too many of these titles left, so let's go ahead and dive into them. When we last left off, we were taking a look at the CD-ROM2 games that were released in the first 2 years of the Turbografx 16/CD's lifecycle. Looking back on the library from today's standpoint, it seems like there was a decent number of games released up until this point, but looking at the timeline of these launches, there were not very many games released, and there were sometimes months between releases. Sadly, in 1992, things didn't really improve too much, at least for the CD-ROM format. And there were a couple of reasons for this that we will discuss in the next video. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into the titles released in 1992.
Long ago, when the spirit world, Earth, and the dream world were at war, the gods sent a giant to each of the worlds. His mission was to destroy the worlds. The warriors killed the giant and peace returned to the three worlds.
Valis III is a platform video game developed by Telnet Japan and originally released for the PC Engine CD-ROM in 1990, and eventually made its way from Japan to America in 1992. It is the third game in the Valis series, and once again features the main protagonist Yuko as the lead character, as she is also joined by her sister, Valna, and a young warrior named Cham, who are new playable characters. The main difference of Valis III to the previous games in the series is that the player is now in control of multiple characters that can be switched at any time, which kinda gave me some Castlevania III Dracula's Curse vibes. Each of them uses different upgradable weapons and spells. The characters cannot be switched during boss fights, but the choice of your character also results in a different cutscene. Another new feature of the series is something that took me a little bit of time to get used to, was the ground slide, which can also double as an attack. This game was very well received by critics and gamers alike when it was released in the early 90s, and I'd say that I think it holds up mostly well today. I would give this a rating of about 8 out of 10, as it is almost a perfectly done platform game, but sometimes the controls are a bit infuriating in my opinion. That didn't stop me from wanting to continue with this game though, as this game really provides an addicting gameplay style, along with good graphics and a catchy soundtrack that made me want to keep going in this game. This game is among some of the pricier titles you can get, with listings as of this review going into the triple digits, but compared to other games that reach that price point, I would say this one is a bit more worth it.
Yahoo!
Van, stop fooling around and give us some help.
Sorry, no can do, 'cause eating only grain won't give us any strength, silly. You know what? I'll go make a good catch with my trusty spear. You can count on me.
You silly barbarian.
Cosmic Fantasy II is a role-playing video game developed and published by Nippon Telnet in Japan, and it was localized and published by Working Designs in North America for the Turbografx CD video game console. It is the second game in the Cosmic Fantasy series, and the only one that was ever released outside of Japan. And I feel that is a bit of a shame, because after I got a chance to play this game, I really want to keep going and actually even go and complete this game. In terms of gameplay, it is kind of a typical dungeon crawling style game of the era. This title kind of distinguishes itself in its predictability of all of the battles. All of the enemies, including bosses, are unable to use spells, items, or special moves of any kind, and they are restricted to performing a normal attack each turn. Advanced players may find this boring and repetitive, but those that are not hardcore fans of this genre may find this a bit more inviting than other games. Neither players nor enemies can miss with attacks, and there are no critical hits, aside from certain weapons which unleash spell attacks on random turns. This pretty much narrows down your focus to what enemy you want to attack first, and which enemy is going to attack which of your players first. It is a simplistic and yet addicting gameplay style, at least in my opinion. Cosmic Fantasy II was awarded the Best RPG Game of the Year 1992 by Electronic Gaming Monthly. They stated that with dozens of detailed cinematics, an original plot, a huge world to traverse, and a challenging quest, that the CD literally blows away all of the other RPGs to date. And that is a very strong statement, because 1991's Final Fantasy II/Final Fantasy IV was one of my favorite RPGs of that time period. And while I don't think this lives up to that expectation, I did feel that this was a fairly decent game, again giving it about an 8 out of 10. I would definitely try this out, and it didn't break the bank for me to collect it.
There was a time when Japan was governed by a ruling aristocracy. This ruling class was supported by warriors called samurai, who had crushed any opposition to its power. Now it was a time of peace and prosperity. But the Emperor Go-Shirakawa was not pleased. He was concerned that Kiyomori and the Heikis were becoming too powerful. The Imperial Order was all that he needed. So far, Yoritomo had been very cautious about raising an army, but now, at last, the time was right.
Lords of the Rising Sun was originally developed in 1989 by Cinemaware, and was originally released on the Commodore Amiga, among other systems. This game is a mix of map-based strategy and arcade-style minigames, as the player, playing as one of the famous Japanese generals, as you fight to pacify Japan by force. This game was very well reviewed on PCs, but I think by the time it released on the Turbografx it seemed a bit more dated. I will say this game is very complex, and this is not for the casual fan. However, if you are a fan of this time period, or of the history of Japan, and you really like learning these things for strategy games, this one is for you. Splash Lake is an action strategy puzzle game that was released for the Turbografx 16, published by Turbo Technologies Inc., and developed by Bits Laboratory. In this game, each round consists of a single screen play area composed of tiles suspended over a lake. You control an ostrich that can crack the tiles and cause them to fall into the water. Your goal is to use this ability to make all the bad guys on the screen fall into the water. This game features more than 60 levels, a simultaneous two-player mode, and humorous cutscenes every 10 levels. To me, the design of this game screams something that is generic early 1990s. The soundtrack is completely underutilized, as I didn't really care for it too much in this game, and I would find myself muting it to listen to something different while I played the game. The graphics and art style are actually pretty on point, and I think they live up well today with their cartoony aesthetic. Overall, this is a neat little puzzle game. I did enjoy playing it one player, but I assume that having a second player on there would make the puzzles a little bit easier. And it is again one of the cheaper titles to collect, so I would definitely recommend this one, especially if you're a fan of puzzle games.
The elements of nature have been used by mankind from the start. Since that beginning, nature has touched all of humanity with its many facets, both benign and destructive. Oh, it could be.
One great ruler for all mankind, uniting heathens and Clispins alike. A mighty dream.
What? Who's there?
Exile is a role-playing video game that was ported to the Turbografx CD by Working Designs and developed by Renovation Game. This game is a sequel to its original game, XZR, and it is an action role-playing game with platforming elements set in a fictionalized version of the Middle East and other world regions in the 13th century. Travel and exploration occur in the traditional overhead view of RPGs, while battles and dungeons are side-scrolling mazes, similar to Wanderers from Ys. Experience points are awarded for defeating enemies. Leveling up automatically raises the character's attributes. The player can fight with swords and also cast offensive and restorative spells. As with other RPGs, weapons, armor, and items can be bought and sold in towns. When this game was released, it was given around a 7 out of 10 on most reviews. However, more recently, those have been downgraded to around a 6 out of 10 or even a 4 out of 10. As for my opinion, I didn't really find myself getting too much involved in this game. The controls are well done, the art style is well done, and there is a story to go along with it, but this didn't really stand out to me as a gotta-have title for the Turbografx CD. Fans of role-playing games from this time period will definitely be the main audience, and its high price point to collect will also make me reserve it to just those fans. Jack Nicklaus's Turbo Golf is a port of Jack Nicklaus's Greatest 18 Holes of Major Championship Golf. However, on the CD version, this game contains 5 different golf courses. Otherwise, it offers the same general graphical style and gameplay of the previous games, with the only value of this version coming from having the additional courses. As with most sports games from this time period, I don't think they're going to appeal to most of the modern gamers. The biggest appeal to me is the style of the old golf games before they became more standardized with the Tiger Woods franchise. And there's something a bit nostalgic to me, at least, when you see the screen being slowly rendered in front of you. I don't know if this is being read from disk right as it's going on the screen, or if this is how long it takes for the Turbografx to process it. But I will say some gamers may get impatient with that process. Now, for reasons I won't yet get into, that is actually all of the CD-ROM games released in 1992, and there were only 2 other games released since then that were compatible with the original system card. And as such, these are all of the games in my collection, that I have the cases for anyway, that are compatible with my Turbografx CD unit. So let's go ahead and dive into those final 2 titles, whose releases overlap with that upgraded console and system card in 1993. Vasteel is a hex-style action strategy game that was developed for the Turbografx CD, and again, published by Working Designs. A lot of this game plays like a hex-based strategy game, but when enemy units meet, the combat is real-time action. There is a single-player storyline to follow that involves a civil war on the governing planet of the Vasteel solar system, and you can also play against another player. To tell you the truth, this game is not the kind that I personally enjoy, so I wasn't able to get too far into it. Of the few reviews I was able to find on this game online, they gave it somewhere between a 5 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10, so let's just say the reception was mixed. In my personal opinion, I would say there are better titles to collect before you get this one. Buster Bros is an arcade-style action game that was published by Hudson Soft for the Turbografx CD in 1993. This platform game consists of 50 levels in total and can be played with 1 or 2 players on the same screen, and the other player can just join in anytime within the game. Your goal is to destroy the balloons which bounce around the playfield. To accomplish this, you can shoot hooks, which travel upwards, and blow up any balloon they touch. Depending on their size, they either split into 2 smaller ones, or they evaporate if they're at their minimum size. Apart from balloons, some levels also have barriers which need to be destroyed with your hooks, since they often block your access to the balloons. There are also some barriers which cannot be destroyed. Your character has the ability to climb ladders, but cannot jump. You can also pick up power-ups, such as the ability to fire 2 shots at once, the hook that attaches to the ceiling and waits until something bumps into it, a gun which has a high rate of fire but cannot destroy barriers, and besides extra weapons, you can also pick up certain things like a clock, which halts time for a certain amount of period, dynamite, which reduces all the balloons to their minimum size, extra lives, and other things like that. When this game was released, it was given mixed reviews, between 5 out of 10 and 8 out of 10. However, more modern reviewers have been more kind to this game, and they gave it more of a 9 out of 10. And I would say that this ranks up to the 8 or 9 out of 10 for me as well. I would definitely recommend this game to anyone who has the Turbografx CD, especially if you're a fan of these arcade-style platformers, in the style similar more to Bubble Bobble. So sadly, that all too briefly wraps up all of the CD-ROM/ROM games that were released for the original system card. And that is a really limited selection, only about 20 games total over a period of 4 years. Today, I would say it is not worth getting, especially for the high price. But my opinion may change as we are not yet done with this console. In a last-ditch effort, the company would be reorganized, the mascot would be reinvented, and the console redesigned. So will this change my opinion of this accessory looking at the TurboDuo? Well, that's a question we will answer in the next part in this series. For now, though, this is where we're going to wrap it up. Again, if you like what you see, please click on that like button. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you liked about today's video. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. As always, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned because I have more content coming, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now. If you like this video and you'd like to help out with future projects on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, if you enjoy the content of this channel, please remember to click on this subscribe button. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.